Stop scrolling for just a moment. Put down whatever else is competing for your attention right now, because Archangel Michael has been standing beside you longer than you realize, waiting for exactly this moment to speak. Something in your spirit made you stop on this video instead of the hundreds of others you scrolled past today. That was not random. That was recognition. Your soul knew before your mind did that this message carries something meant specifically for you. Archangel Michael says, I have watched you carry a question you have never fully said out loud, not even to the people closest to you. Am I ever going to be loved the way I actually need to be loved? Is there someone out there who could actually see me, all of me, the parts one hide and the parts I'm proud of? Or is this loneliness simply the shape my life is going to keep taking? If that question has lived quietly in your chest, tonight it is being answered, not with a name, not with a face, but with a truth that matters far more than either of those things right now. You are being prepared, and preparation is not the same thing as being forgotten. If you sense that stirring in your spirit right now, that quiet recognition that this message found you for a reason, press the like button. Not because a video needs it, but because it is your way of saying, yes, I am listening, before we go any further together. The weight you have carried quietly, Archangel Michael says, I have seen the nights you told yourself you were fine being alone, while some part of you ached in a way you didn't let yourself fully feel. I have seen you watching other people's love stories unfold, genuinely happy for them, and still feeling that small, private wound of wondering when, or if, your own story would include that kind of closeness. I have seen you get hurt before, and I have seen how carefully you have protected yourself since then, sometimes so carefully that you've kept out not just the people who would have hurt you again, but the ones who never would have. That caution wasn't wrong. It kept you safe during a season you needed safety. But some of that caution has quietly calcified into walls that are no longer protecting you. They're simply keeping you isolated. You have told yourself certain things over the years, quietly, the kind of thoughts you would never say to anyone else. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I missed my window. Maybe the people who were meant for me already passed by, and I was too guarded, too busy, too afraid to notice. Archangel Michael wants you to hear something clearly tonight. None of those thoughts are truth. They are wounds wearing the disguise of wisdom. You were never meant to walk this entirely alone. There is a design woven into how you were made, long before the specific disappointments of your life left their marks on you. You were not created to be a fortress standing entirely alone, sufficient unto yourself, needing no one. You were created for connection, real, seen, mutual connection, the kind where someone knows the tired version of you and stays anyway. Archangel Michael says, this does not mean something is wrong with you if you are single right now. Some of the most whole, most prepared people I have ever watched walk through long seasons of solitude first, not as punishment, but as preparation. The question was never whether you are worthy of being loved well. You already are. The question has been timing, readiness, and healing that needed to happen first, in you, and sometimes in the person still becoming ready to meet you. If you have quietly wondered whether you're simply someone this doesn't happen for, I need you to release that thought tonight. Say quietly to yourself, even if only in your own mind right now, I am not overlooked. I am being prepared. The walls you built to survive. Let's talk honestly about those walls for a moment, because Archangel Michael wants you to understand something important about them before we go any further. Every wall you've built around your heart was built for a reason. Somebody hurt you and you learned to keep the next person at a safer distance. Somebody left and you learned that closeness eventually comes with loss, so you decided closeness itself was the risk. Somebody made you feel like too much or not enough, and you learned to shrink yourself before anyone else got the chance to make you feel small again. These walls were not weakness. They were wisdom, in a season when you didn't have the tools to protect your heart any other way. But wisdom that served you at 20 may be quietly working against you now, keeping out not just the wrong people, but the right ones too, because walls don't actually know how to be selective. They simply keep everyone at the same distance. Archangel Michael says, I am not asking you to tear these walls down recklessly, all at once, exposing yourself to anyone who shows the slightest interest. That would simply create a different kind of harm. What I am asking is that you begin, slowly, prayerfully, to examine which parts of your guardedness are protecting you, and which parts have quietly become a prison you built for yourself, one careful brick at a time. If you recognize a wall in your own life right now, one you built for good reason but have never gone back to examine, comment the words, I see the wall, below. Not as a performance, but as the beginning of honest reflection. What readiness actually looks like. So much of what we call not being ready for love is actually unresolved pain wearing a more acceptable disguise. Archangel Michael wants to walk you through what real readiness looks like, because it is rarely what people assume. Readiness is not the absence of fear. Almost everyone who has ever opened their heart again after being hurt did so while still afraid. Readiness is choosing to move forward with honesty about that fear, instead of pretending it isn't there or letting it make every decision for you silently. Readiness is not having every wound fully healed before you're allowed to be loved. If that were the requirement, no one would ever qualify. Readiness is being willing to keep healing inside a relationship, rather than waiting for perfect wholeness before you'll allow anyone close enough to matter. Readiness is not certainty about the future. You will likely never feel completely, permanently certain that trusting someone again is safe. Readiness is choosing to trust wisely, with your eyes open, rather than either recklessly ignoring red flags or refusing to see any green flags because fear has convinced you everything is a risk. Archangel Michael says, I have watched people wait years for a feeling of complete readiness that was never actually coming, because they misunderstood what readiness was supposed to feel like. It was never meant to feel like the absence of every fear. It was meant to feel like choosing courage in spite of the fear that remained. The difference between isolation and solitude. There is an important difference worth sitting with here, because they can feel identical from the inside, but they are not the same thing at all. Solitude is a season, often a necessary and even holy one, where you are learning who you are outside of anyone else's presence or approval. It has purpose. It builds a foundation. People who skip this season often carry an unhealthy dependence into their relationships later, needing someone else to complete an identity they never fully built on their own. Isolation, by contrast, is solitude that has outlasted its purpose, hardened into a permanent state, no longer building anything, simply protecting an increasingly smaller and smaller version of yourself from ever being fully known again. Solitude has an end date, even if you don't know exactly when. Isolation convinces you there is no end date at all, that this is simply how your story goes from here forward. Archangel Michael says, if you have been in genuine solitude, building, healing, becoming more whole, that season has purpose, and I am not rushing you out of it before it's finished. But if what began as healthy solitude has quietly calcified into isolation, into a belief that connection simply isn't coming for you anymore, tonight I want to gently interrupt that belief. If this distinction is landing somewhere true in your own life right now, comment the word solitude if you're still in a season with purpose, or comment the word isolation if you recognize you may have stayed too long behind walls that have stopped protecting you and started confining you. Either answer is welcome here. There is no shame in naming exactly where you are. What love actually requires from you. Before we talk about what's coming, Archangel Michael wants to be honest with you about something many messages like this one skip entirely. Being ready to receive real love is not a passive state you simply wait for. It requires something from you, ongoing, deliberate participation in your own healing and growth. It requires honesty with yourself about patterns you may have repeated, the type of person you keep being drawn to even when that type has hurt you before, the ways you might sabotage closeness the moment it starts to feel real, out of fear disguised as caution. Growth here isn't about becoming a different person entirely. It's about becoming more fully, more healthily, the person you already are underneath the defense mechanism. It requires forgiveness, not necessarily reconciliation with whoever hurt you before, but the internal release of carrying their weight into every new possibility that comes your way. Unforgiveness has a way of quietly appointing your past hurt as the permanent judge of your future opportunities, and that judge is rarely fair to the innocent person standing in front of you now. It requires patience with the process, understanding that becoming ready is rarely instantaneous. It happens in layers, sometimes slowly enough that you don't notice the shift until you look back and realize you're responding to things differently than you used to, trusting a little more easily, protecting yourself a little less desperately. Archangel Michael says, none of this work is wasted, even the parts that feel slow, even the parts that feel like nothing is visibly changing. Every honest reflection, every moment of releasing old pain instead of feeding it, every small act of courage where you let someone a little closer than felt entirely comfortable, all of it is preparation, whether or not you can measure it yet. Recognizing what's actually in front of you. One of the quieter dangers of long seasons of loneliness is that they can distort how you evaluate what's actually in front of you when connection does appear. Sometimes desperation for closeness makes almost anyone look like a possibility, simply because they showed interest at all. Other times, the opposite happens, and genuine, healthy interest gets dismissed or overlooked because it doesn't come wrapped in the intensity that fear has taught you to associate with real attraction. Archangel Michael says, pay close attention in the days and weeks ahead, to how you feel around people who show you genuine, steady interest, not the anxious high of uncertainty, but the quieter, less dramatic feeling of ease. Many people have been trained by painful past relationships to associate anxiety with passion and calm with boredom. That association will cost you if you let it keep steering your choices. This doesn't mean every calm connection is automatically right for you, or every intense one is automatically wrong. It means learning to evaluate connection with clearer eyes than fear or past pain have allowed you to use until now. Notice consistency over time, not just initial excitement. Notice how someone treats people who can offer them nothing in return. Notice whether their words and their actions actually align with each other over weeks and months, not just in a single impressive gesture. If you have been mistaking anxiety for chemistry or dismissing calm connection as lack of interest, comment the words, "I see it differently now," below, because that recognition alone could change what you notice going forward. The season ahead. Archangel Michael says, "I am not going to hand you a name tonight, or a date, or a specific promise I cannot actually make on heaven's behalf. What I can tell you is this. The season you are walking through right now, whatever it currently looks like, is not your permanent condition. Seasons change. Walls, when they are ready to come down, come down. Readiness, when it has actually been built rather than merely wished for, eventually meets opportunity. In the weeks and months ahead, I want you to watch for small, unremarkable moments that might carry more weight than they first appear to. A conversation that lingers longer than you expected it to. A person who shows up consistently in ordinary ways, not dramatic ones. A moment where you notice yourself feeling safe around someone, rather than merely excited by them. These are not guarantees delivered on a schedule. They are simply the kinds of moments worth paying closer attention to than we sometimes do. Archangel Michael says, "Do not spend the coming season anxiously scanning every interaction for signs, turning ordinary friendliness into constant analysis. That kind of vigilance exhausts you and rarely produces the clarity you're hoping for. Instead, spend the season becoming more fully yourself, more healed, more honest, more available to real connection when it does arrive, in whatever form and whatever timing that turns out to be. Letting go of the timeline you've been carrying. So much unnecessary suffering comes not from being single, but from carrying a timeline you never actually agreed to, absorbed instead from comparison, from cultural expectation, from watching everyone around you seem to reach milestones on a schedule that increasingly feels like it left you behind." Archangel Michael says, "That timeline was never actually mine, and it was never actually yours either. It was borrowed from comparison, and comparison makes a cruel clock, one that only ever tells you that you're behind, no matter where you actually stand. Release the specific age you thought you'd be settled by. Release the assumption that everyone your age who appears to have found lasting love actually found it easily, or found it in a way free of their own long seasons of waiting and disappointment you simply never witnessed. Release the quiet shame of still being single at whatever stage of life you're currently in, as though your relationship status were somehow a referendum on your worth. It has never been that, no matter how convincingly loneliness has argued otherwise on your hardest nights. If you're ready to release a timeline that has been quietly torturing you, comment the words, 'I release the timeline' below, and let that be more than a sentence you type. Let it be a decision you're actually making tonight. What you deserve to believe about yourself. Before we close, Archangel Michael wants to leave you with something to actually believe about yourself, not as flattery, but as truth that fear and loneliness have often obscured. You are not too much. The parts of you that feel overwhelming to people who were never meant to stay are the exact same parts that will feel like coming home to someone who actually was. You are not too complicated. Depth is not the same thing as difficulty, and someone capable of real intimacy will recognize the difference, even if people incapable of it never could. You are not behind. There is no universal schedule you have failed to meet. There is only your specific story, unfolding at its own pace, still very much in progress. You are not unlovable because you have not yet been loved the way you needed to be. You are not disqualified because past attempts at connection didn't work out the way you hoped. Every one of those experiences, painful as they were, has been part of shaping the discernment, the self-knowledge, and yes, even the compassion you now carry, qualities that will actually matter in whatever comes next. Prayer. Let's bring this before God together for a moment. Heavenly Father, thank you for seeing the quiet loneliness some of us carry, the question we've rarely said out loud, whether real, lasting closeness is actually coming for us. Thank you for reminding us tonight that being single right now is not evidence of being forgotten or overlooked. Lord, help us tell the difference between the walls that once protected us and the walls that have quietly become our prison. Give us the courage to examine them honestly, and the wisdom to know which ones still serve us and which ones it's time to gently begin taking down. Heal what needs healing in us, not so we become perfect before we're allowed to be loved, but so we can keep healing openly, inside real connection, rather than hiding behind walls that were never meant to be permanent. Release us from timelines we never actually agreed to, borrowed from comparison instead of truth. Teach us to recognize genuine connection when it appears, even when it doesn't arrive wrapped in the anxious intensity we may have mistaken for passion in the past. And in the waiting that remains, whatever its length, help us become more fully, more healthily, more honestly ourselves, ready for what's ahead, at peace in what's not yet arrived. In Jesus' name, Amen. If tonight's message reached something true in you, I want to ask a few things of you before you go. First, comment below with whichever words felt most true for you tonight, whether that was, I see the wall, solitude, isolation, I see it differently now, or I release the timeline. Let your comment be your own honest declaration, not a performance for anyone else reading it. Second, if you know someone who has quietly carried this same loneliness, someone who has convinced themselves connection simply isn't coming for people like them, share this message with them tonight. Sometimes the most meaningful thing you can offer someone isn't advice. It's simply the reminder that they're not the only one who has felt this way, and that the season they're in is not necessarily their permanent condition. And finally, subscribe to this channel so the next message finds you the same way this one did, whenever you need it next. Archangel Michael is stepping back now, but not away. He says the walls you're ready to release will come down in their own time, and the readiness you're building tonight, quietly, honestly, one moment of self-awareness at a time, is not wasted, even on the nights it feels invisible. You are not overlooked. You are being prepared. Walk forward tonight in that truth. God bless you.